The recipe for an awesome PhD starts with a nice big university. This university is going to hold all of your ideas together, and it's going to be where all of the PhD is cooked. And it starts with these ingredients. We need 500 grams of ideas, of new ideas ideally, but we're going to take some ideas, some potential concepts for your PhD, and this is going to be the backbone of your PhD. Without this, you've really got nothing. You need to get your teeth into something, and these are ideas. It can be big ideas like that, or just tiny little ideas, but a load of them. And this is really what's going to form the basis of your PhD. You're going to make sure that when people eat your PhD at the end, they're going to have something to chew on. It all starts with these little ideas, and it is going to make it so hearty that people cannot refuse you your PhD. So whether or not it's big chunks or little chunks, we mash those ideas together and we brown them off in some oil. While those ideas are browning off, simmering in their own juices, we have to think about what to build our PhD on top of. And that is where the literature review comes in. The literature review is hundreds, if not thousands of ideas on which to put our PhD. You're going to have to go through each and every single one of these pieces of information to see if it's relevant for your PhD. But importantly, we're going to simmer this and use this as a side dish to support our PhD. So put that on with some water and make sure that you really understand what's in this, because otherwise this is going to turn out rubbish. They need to complement each other awesomely. Now, once your ideas have really browned off, we need to add a little bit of spice to them. So there's a couple of things we need. The first thing is a little bit of curiosity. Just sort of like a tablespoon of curiosity is really going to help you. So we'll just put that in. Oh, that's delicious. You can really smell that coming together. Curiosity is very important for making sure your PhD is, first of all, interesting to you, but also something that is going to interest other people. Making sure you're curious about it is a very key ingredient. And then, like everything, like every little bit of investigation, we're going to have to put in a little bit of self-doubt. Not too much, just like a pinch. We're just going to put in the smallest amount of self-doubt, because self-doubt is what inevitably comes in any sort of these projects. And then we're going to make sure that it all comes together. Give it a nice big stir. Where's my thing? Give it a nice big stir and just really make sure that it is kind of coming together nicely. We don't want to taste it just yet because there's something that really brings it together. Once we can smell the spices becoming aromatic, that curiosity, that self-doubt bubbling up through into the nose, now we need to bring it all together with a little bit of supervision. And this supervision can take a number of forms. My favorite supervision to add is this. It's clear, it's non-intrusive, it just provides support to the PhD. That I absolutely love. If your supervisor is starting to get a little bit murky and it's not meshing with your PhD and what you had in mind, and maybe they're causing too much anxiety for you, you can just swap this out and start again with another broth. Like I said, I did that during my PhD. I changed out quite a murky supervisor for a clear broth, and it made all of the difference. So make sure that your supervisor matches your PhD and you perfectly. Mwah. All right, at this point, we want to give it a little bit of a stir and a taste. We want to see what's in there. Oh, I like this. And, oh, what's this? Now let's have a little bit of a taste. Here it is. Oh, actually, no. Hang on. No, it's not done yet. This is just a master's thesis. I mean, it's good. It's got all of those ingredients, but it's just not right at the moment. So we'll put that back in and just put in a few more key ingredients. There's a few more key ingredients that make a master's thesis a PhD, and the first one is 3 years of criticism. Now, 3 years of criticism, you put a nice big hefty dose of that, and it's just constant. You provide something to your supervisor and they say it's wrong. You talk about something, you say it's wrong. Things go wrong in the lab. There's a lot of failure. In fact, that's another key ingredient, with lots and lots of failure. Failure is a very important part of a PhD. Criticism on top of it just means that it just doesn't feel very good. And that happens over and over again, and it's just part of doing a PhD. So a nice big healthy dose of criticism and failure, it's what makes it a PhD, I'm afraid. Like it or not. The next thing we've got to add to make our PhD that little bit special is just a little teaspoon of anxiety. Oh, shit. Oh, that's a tablespoon. Oh well, it's in there now. So a nice big sort of like helping of anxiety is just part of the process, and unfortunately it doesn't really go away, but seek help if it's really sort of starting to affect your PhD and come up with tools. A lot of counselling service exists in a PhD sort of like environment in a university level, and counselling services at a university. So give it a go. Make sure that if you accidentally put in a whole tablespoon of anxiety, that you can get it sorted. They'll be able to balance out the flavors, I think, for you in a professional sense. And now we need those secret PhD spices. This you don't tell to anyone until the very end, but it's these little secret spices that actually turn your PhD into something special. That's exotic. And now you can add as many of these as possible. It may be that the first thing that's special about your PhD is your methodology. That's a bit different. That's going to make it interesting. You want people to look at your PhD and taste it and go, oh, that's special. That's something a bit different. And you don't really find these right away. You find them as you go along. Maybe you found something in a special shop. Yum. And you end up sort of thinking, that's special. I wonder how that will work with my PhD. Sometimes it's the most little confusing little things and unexpected areas that really make your PhD special. So make sure you are on the lookout for it all the time and bring them together into a nice special concoction of your own. Make this recipe your own, because if you don't, it's just not going to be kind of interesting and fun. Yeah, you make it your own. That's the main message of this point. Make it your own. And the last thing we need to do is stir it for 3 years. The stirring process is just boring. You know, listen to a podcast while you're doing it, sit around, but make sure you're always stirring. The one thing that I notice about PhDs that don't stir is that they just don't finish on time. So every single day you need to think to yourself, how am I moving this PhD forward? It could just be you're preparing for an experiment, you're filling out the paperwork, but every day do something a little bit towards the outcome of your PhD. It's easy to get distracted when you're stirring. It's easy to kind of just think this is boring and it's not sort of like worth my time. I'll just let it simmer on its own. No, stir. The love that goes into a PhD can be really sort of sensed by the people that taste it at the end. So make sure you just do a little bit of something every single day, and then you'll get to taste the results. And now here's the fun bit. This is what we've all been waiting for. Oh, it's a PhD. It's long, it's heavy, it's cumbersome, it's boring, but it's got graphs. It's got so many things. It's got words, and all of that effort means that you're going to end up with a PhD that will be passed by reviewers, that will contribute just a little something to your field. It doesn't have to be groundbreaking, but it has to move the field forward in some way, and that's what a PhD is all about. With those essential ingredients, I'm sure you'll succeed. If you like this video, go check out this one where I talk about the 8 harsh realities of a PhD as explained with food. I think you'll love it.